Hello again and welcome to the sixth video in the Quick Start training series. In this video, we're going to talk about how to receive calls, how to answer calls both inside of the system and outside of the system. So you can forward your calls to some outside line like a cell phone or some business line that you have. Now, when you're receiving calls inside the system, you will have the ability to receive them both here inside of the dashboard area, which I'm in, or if I'm logged into the dialer, which will show you that as well, how those calls are answered as well. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind in order to receive calls is that you must have already set up your basic phone settings. So if you didn't do that in the previous video yet, you want to make sure that you do that first. So go back and watch the previous video and set up those basic phone settings before continuing. You'll know that that was complete if you see the flashing green profile icon up here at the top right hand side of the screen. If it's not, then you probably didn't do it. Now, in addition to receiving calls inside the system, we're also going to cover how to retrieve your missed calls, voicemails, as well as how to reply to text messages that you receive inside of the system. So let's go ahead and dig in. Now, in order to receive a call, and after you've already set up your phones, we're going to go ahead and call our number. So you'll hear that tone in your headset or in your speakers when the call comes in, that ringing tone. And you'll also see, if you have this set up in the browser, you'll see that phone icon slide out from the left and give you the phone number for the caller that is calling in. Now, when you answer the call, you'll see it automatically puts the contact information right there in the center, so you'll have the ability to answer those calls directly inside of the system and then have access to the contact info. On the left-hand side, you'll see your notes. You have a drop-down here to select which specific notes that you want to see. So if you want to see all the notes, you can do that. Or if you just want to look at your own specific notes that you have added instead of like the system notes, you just select that. And what's really handy is that we time date stamp every single note that comes in, so you'll be able to see that as well. Now, in order to edit a contact, you just type in the field and you can change the text, and it automatically saves when you go to the next field. When you're finished with the call, all you have to do is disposition the lead, or you can just close that lead up here in the top right hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and disposition this lead. Now, receiving a call inside of the dialer looks identical to that. I'll just go ahead and show you how that looks. The only difference is when I'm inside of the dialer, you're going to notice that there's no ringtone inside of the dialer, just the ringing that you're hearing for me calling this on my other phone line. So in order to answer it, you just click on answer. To reject it, just click on the red button, and then it'll send the caller to voicemail, to your voicemail. And that's it. So now let's move into how we are going to retrieve missed calls as well as voicemails and that sort of thing. So you'll notice up here in the top right-hand side, there's some icons. Now, the first icon that I want to draw your attention to is the missed call icon. If you mouse over that, you'll see you have two missed calls. And then the next icon is your voicemail icon. And the final is the global inbox, which is where you will be able to retrieve text messages. And you can see that I have received 3 text messages that I can respond to as well. So if I want to look at my missed calls, I just click here on missed calls and they'll show up here. Now I have the ability to open the lead and call the lead back. If I just click on the lead name, it's going to open up automatically for me, and I can select the call button here to call them. I can also send them a text message here. So if I click on call, this will open here, and I have my caller ID that I set up in my personal settings already selected. But if you do have additional numbers, you do have the ability to change your caller ID by just selecting from the drop down and changing the caller ID there. If I click on this green button, it'll dial the lead.
Hi, this is Mark. Please hold while I transfer you to the next available agent.
And that is how the callback works from calling a missed call. Next, let's go ahead and look at our voicemail we've received. Click on the voicemail, and here you'll see you have the ability to listen to the voicemail or download the voicemail. So if I click on listen, it's going to open up here a little play bar. I click play.
Hello, this is Mark Sample, and I'm leaving a voicemail. Please call me as soon as you get this. My phone number is listed in your caller ID. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
So once you've listened to the voicemail, it's going to mark it as read. Here you'll see the from number that you received the call from and the number that they called to, and when you received the call as well. Now, if you'd like to delete that voicemail, you can delete it. You can also block that number. So if you received a call from somebody who's a spammer, you don't want to receive calls from them anymore, just click on the block number and it'll block them. It'll add them to your block call list. You can receive or you can remove those later if you'd like, but we'll go into that in another video. Next is the unsubscribe option. If it's somebody that is asking to be put on your do not call list, you can just click here and add them to that call list, the unsubscribe list right there. And then finally, if you want to open up that lead and call them back, you just click on the phone icon and it'll open up the lead. Now let's go ahead and send a text message inside the global inbox. Now you'll notice here up in the top right hand side under the notifications for the global inbox, I have a missed text message. So if I click on this, it's going to open up here on the right hand side and you'll see the text message as well as who that the lead's name who sent you the message. So if you click on it, you'll see the message that came through and you could reply back to that message. And click send. You can also send a GIF or a text or a image in your text as well. Okay, now the final thing I want to cover here is how to receive calls outside of the system. So if you'd like to receive calls outside of the system, first thing is you would need to change the settings inside of your personal phone settings. So in order to do that, again, you just go back here to either phones or you can click on profile and preferences. So in this case, I'm going to go into profile and preferences because it'll take me right into my profile. I'm going to click on personal phone settings and I'm going to change the setting. Now you just have to do this the first time so you can add your phone number. But if you just come in here and click on forward calls, I can put in my phone number that I'd like to receive the calls on. And I'll just go ahead and select submit. Once I've done that, I'm able to receive calls outside of the system. Now you'll notice that this turned red up here. Forward calls turned red. So this means that I'm no longer receiving calls inside of the browser. But if I click on it, you'll see that it's changed to forward calls. So if I were to receive a call now, it's going to forward to that outside line that I just added inside the system. Now, if I ever want to change that, I could go ahead, if I'm ready to receive calls in my browser, again, just change the setting here. I don't have to go into the personal phone settings anymore. So if you ever want to go back and forth, you don't have to go back in there once you've added your phone number. You just switch it to forward calls. So if you're going to lunch or something like that and you want to receive calls outside of the office, just go ahead and change that. So that concludes this video on how to receive calls. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next video.